Welcome to this podcast, Holistic Creators, where we share our unique and universal stories about shaping the future for the 4 Ps: people, planet, purpose, and profit. My name is Swanette. I'm a mental coach and your host of this show. My intention for this show is to inspire you on your path to a holistic future. So welcome. Hello and welcome to my podcast, Holistic Creators. My name is Swanette and I'm your host. Today my guest is Kathryn Regganie. She has a business degree and has been a corporate training professional for over 15 years, teaching and guiding America's top minds into being team players, balanced bodies and minds, and highly efficient creators. She now focuses on teaching high-achieving women executives how to hold resilience and value even when those dramatic foundation-shattering moments happen in their personal life. With her Resilient Woman Leadership programs, she makes superwomen impervious to the kryptonite of life. They become more confident, relaxed, effective, creative, and happy in work and life. Kathryn is known for her honest, grounded, nurturing manner. She is adept at weaving together mind, body, and spirit to create a unique and safe environment that encourages profound healing. She is compassionate and intuitive and can connect deeply so that her clients can feel safe enough to go deeper into their healing process and self-discovery than they thought possible. So, Kathryn, welcome to my show.
Thank you so much, Swanette. It's so wonderful to be here, and thank you.
Yeah, this already sounds amazing. And yeah, you have different backgrounds. Let us know a little bit about your own story and how you became the person you are now.
Oh, sure, absolutely. Yeah, I am a former recovering corporate person. I was in the corporate America for several years, 15 or more years. And, you know, that was a really great time in my life when I was younger. It really helped me grow into the person I am now. And there was a point in my life where things just sort of started falling apart, one thing after the other. And, you know, my husband left me. My parents were going through a situation. They needed my help. I was still going through school. So I was just at my wit's end. I just couldn't do any more. So it was at that point where things really started shifting for me. And I started really looking for ways to help me, Kathryn. How can I move through all of this and keep my sanity and keep my job and just really keep myself intact? So that's when I really started going more sort of energy. I did a lot of energy-based trainings, you know, working more with things like Reiki. A lot of people know what that is, and other energy healing modalities. And so that's when I really started to discover, you know, how to really start balancing that corporate versus personal life, because they do get intertwined, and sometimes it's not so pretty.
Yeah, I can only imagine like how it is like when you have a lot of balls in the air, like handling the situation with the divorce and the parents, and then being excellent at the job as well, and learning for yourself. So do you think that all this together like created a lot of resilience in yourself, or did you train for that?
That's a really great question. And yes, I think it really created a lot of resilience. I think I had it before, but it really tested my resilience, if that makes sense. Because, you know, you grow up, you have different challenges. But, you know, in this particular instance, for me, it was like there was so much going on. And it was really a foundation-shattering moment when my husband left me. I never expected that. You know, that's sort of a foundation that you expect to build your life on, and it was no longer there. So I had nothing to nothing to stand on from my perspective, you know, at that time. So although I believe I had resilience, I became aware of the necessity to, like you said, Swanette, train for it. And once I really understood that piece of it and started looking internally and helping myself, the training became more of a lifestyle. So it became no longer training for it. Now I'm here. I know what I need to do for myself. And so the next foundation shattering moment that comes along, I'll be able to deal with that much better. Maybe not perfect, but much better.
I think a lot of people, especially after this pandemic, had this situation where they had this feeling, okay, no, my foundation is kind of getting wobbly, or even is not there anymore, like the security I had with my job or with my family and the support I had. So I think it's an upcoming situation for many people to understand, what can I do, like when I feel that I don't have really this resilience, I feel like I'm struggling and get overwhelmed. What can they do?
Right. Well, one of the things that I really learned to do, and I can bring in my drama dragons here a little bit. You know, the first thing to do in my system is really go out to the Drama Dragon quiz, dramadragonquiz.com, and find out what dragon you are or what is most prevalent in your life. And then just by being aware that your dragon exists, then you can move towards steps to creating that resilience or connecting with that dragon and learning how to use it for good. So once you're familiar with which dragon that you have, like for me, I'm the stoic dragon. So that means I get very quiet and I just get very focused on doing what I need to do. I may be upset because somebody else isn't pulling their weight, but I don't necessarily tell people that. And once I know that, then I can start to sort of breathe into that dragon. Now that I know that it exists, I notice when it starts to, get a little fussy. Now I can ground into that. I can take that nice deep breath, or 3 or 4, and, ground myself, feel the ground underneath my feet. And then once I do that, then I can make a choice on what my next step. But really, it's about becoming aware of that dragon, breathing in and grounding that dragon, sort of controlling that dragon, not necessarily keeping it at locked up, but knowing that it's there, taking that breath and making the decision on what's next.
So what are the other dragons? I can only imagine, like some people get super active and like creating
right. Exactly. Well, there's the fire dragon. There's the fire dragon. And that's the dragon that really, gets, starts to burn people's faces off because they are so driven and really wanting to get things done. And sometimes it's like, whoops, I didn't mean to just burn your face off, but that's really what happens. And then there's the smoke dragon, who maybe doesn't quite get as aggravated as the fire dragon, but I picture, that dragon burping up smoke. So it's like, okay, now you're aggravating me. I may not burn your face off, but we're going to have a discussion about how you can pull your weight. And then there's the unsettled dragon. And that's the one who oftentimes has too many balls in the air. So you're doing too many things. It's hard to decide which one to do next. So then you're feeling really unsettled, and maybe you feel like you need to help somebody else before you're helping, yourself, which many of us do. And then, as I mentioned, there's the stoic dragon, which is me. They get very quiet because they're expecting other people to pull their weight. They may not be, but they're not going to say anything. They just hold it and hold it all inside. And it sort of eats them from the inside out. And then there is the, let's see here, we said the fire, the smoke, the stoic, the unsettled, and there's a 5th one that is slipping my mind right now. But basically, they're really all just degrees of the sensitivities or the emotions that you have inside. And once you know what that dragon is, then you can control it a little bit better, make friends with it.
Hmm. So I already hear you. I can imagine. So I'm the unsettled, like having all the balls in the air and helping others
Yeah,
while I'm focusing on myself. So this is very
right.
clear. And
Yeah, exactly.
are there different strategies? Like if you figure out, okay, this is like my dragon shows up, how to handle then going on with your resilience?
Yes, and that's kind of what I was speaking to before. Of course, you working with me, you can go deeply into the process of really getting in, finding your dragon, understanding your dragon, so that you can sort of have a nurturing process through the getting to know your dragon. Because the dragon oftentimes is there as a warning sign. They can be your friend. They oftentimes show up in the beginning when you're not aware of them in not a such a nice way. But if you, like we mentioned, become aware of that dragon, then you can ground and breathe into yourself, connect with the dragon, and the dragon will tell you what it needs. And then once you understand what that need is, then you can make that choice. Swanette, for instance, you had talked about you're the unsettled dragon. You've got so many balls in the air that sometimes you forget, oh, what about me? I've got to take some time for myself. So an example would be for you, you're feeling unsettled, or when you start to feel that unsettled feeling, you can take those deep breaths into yourself, feel your feet on the ground yourself into your body, and then say, okay, I'm feeling the unsettled dragon come up here. What does it need? Okay. Oh, and this is just an example. Oh, maybe I just need to take 5 minutes for myself. Okay. I'm going to go down or over to the kitchen. I'm going to get some water, maybe a snack, carrots, sandwich, whatever, and I'm just going to be with myself for even those 5 minutes. And then you can come back to whatever it is you're doing and then decide, okay, what is my next most important thing to do? And then you can back to that, okay, first things first. Can do one thing at a time, and what am I going to focus on right now? So that's just a strategy for, the unsettled dragon, Swanette. And then, depending on your dragon, it's not that much different for each dragon, but the intensity can shift a little bit. So you're just different techniques instead of, going to the kitchen to get some water or a sandwich. Maybe you need to go outside and jump in the lake or something like that. Something fun.
Yeah, so and I can only share my strategy. It is really like, first of all, understanding what is going on in my mind, like bringing in a structure, like you said, getting clarity, what has priority. And then when I have written it down and have my to-do list, so to say, then I already calm down. Then I feel into what is it that my body needs right now. And
Right.
yeah, perhaps it's like I'm not connected to my higher self, or perhaps I'm not grounded. And then the question is what it is that I emotionally need, for example. Perhaps it is that I really just need someone to support me or to cheer me on or something like that. So a short call will be helpful. And then it
Yeah.
is really like, what does my spirit need? And often it is like, I really need to go into nature and connect with nature. I'm close to the ocean, so it's not a lake, but the big ocean where I can
Yeah.
jump in and really be for myself and reconnect with my higher self and the earth, and really, become one again. So this is
Right.
normally a strategy, for example, I use.
Yes, exactly. And that's a perfect example as well as just, using the tools that you have and using them.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think as well, like we just spoke about resilience, it is that often, especially if you are someone who is helping a lot, and my audience are often coaches or healers, always this feeling they have to help others, and other people also come to them and asking for support and for help. So I think another aspect would be, how can I set friendly boundaries? That on the one hand, I go first. I have to be settled in myself, and then I'm able to help other people without hurting them. So can you go a little bit into this topic of how to set like friendly boundaries, or however you call them?
Absolutely. I call them safe and healthy boundaries, but you're right. They're friendly boundaries. And all of us helper people, coaches and the like, we all need those boundaries. And it's hard sometimes to stick with it, if you will. One of, well, several of the ways that I do that is really I schedule time for myself. I put it on my calendar. Mondays and Fridays are days for me to catch up on things. Swanette and I are doing this interview today. And then, afterwards, I'm going to be talking to some other people, but I'm not seeing clients. I'm taking this time to do what I need to do for myself and do the things that I enjoy. I love making friends, and Swanette and I have, she was on one of my summits. So, to me, we're connected already. So this is something fun for me to do. And then also, feeding yourself well. I'm not a big junk food person, so I also feed myself well. You got to make sure to take care of this vehicle because it's all you've got. And the more clean and clear that you can be for your clients, the better. One of my things is, I also on my calendar have time to work out, do yoga or go to the gym because it's important for me to move my body to get my headspace clear and make sure I'm okay so that I can be okay for my clients. So that's really it. A lot of it is just take time for yourself. Another thing is always upgrade yourself, taking time to do the training that you've always wanted to do. It may or may not have anything to do with coaching, but even just for yourself, getting into, one of your hobbies, you're going to take a class in knitting or something like that. Those are some really great ways to do it. And then because, sometimes it is hard for those boundaries, when you have those tasks on your calendar, regardless of whether it's for your clients or not, when a client calls and says, hey, I need a session, you don't have to tell them why you're not available. You can just say, I already have an appointment and that's not going to work for me. And here's another time that will work for me. Come to a mutual conclusion on your meeting times, and then stick with it. I know a lot of times with I do coaching and I do some hands-on work. With my hands-on work, I have to be very clear. This is your time frame. If you're late, this is still your time frame. And I have other clients afterwards. So you have to create that boundary. Now, if you're always willing to just go over with them, that's not even fair for your client, because what if they have an appointment afterwards too? So just really setting those clear boundaries for yourself and then keeping those time frames with your clients. It shows respect for yourself and respect for your clients. So those are just a couple of great ways to set those boundaries.
Yeah, and I think also it is important how to communicate them. Like you said, it is important to have your own time, but it is an appointment with yourself. So it is as important as having the appointment with your client, because if you don't feel good, if you're not in your strength, how can you serve your client? Yeah.
Right.
So
exactly.
Yeah. So it's kind of creating this lifestyle of self-commitment and self-love.
Yes.
Yeah, what you said, no, feeding yourself good with organic products, exercising, having time to really rest, time for your own expansion and evolving. So all together sets already the boundaries for what is not possible. For example, eating junk food, or not sleeping enough, or don't taking care yourself. So these are all already the boundaries you set for yourself, and yeah, be clear on where do you allow this to be a little bit flexible and where you are really straight.
Right. And then, you know, with you had mentioned the communication with your boundaries, and I think that's really a great perspective is, you know, when you gaining new clients, when you're doing that initial client intake, you know, when you're having them sign the contracts or the forms for them to work with you. With mine, there's always policies about, you know, payment and times and cancellations and things like that. You can have those friendly conversations right up front so that it doesn't become awkward when it becomes a problem. It's something you've already set in a very neutral way because nothing has happened. So that's always just, for me, when I start off with a client, they have no question about where I stand with those things.
And I think, again, it's like having a certain kind of commitment to yourself as well.
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
So I want to, yeah, continue.
I was going to say, and then with the communication, and then also being able to stand up for yourself if those boundaries are crossed, regardless of whether it's your family or your clients. You know, if a family member says, hey, I really need you to come to this birthday party on Saturday, and you have already made other plans, you need to learn how to say, I'm really sorry, I'd love to be there, and I've made other plans. I'll send a card or a gift or whatever, or can we meet the next day? I'll have some time then. And the same with your clients. I am not available at this time. You missed your appointment, and you still have to pay me because I could have filled the appointment. So things like that, you have to be able to stand up for yourself once you've already set those boundaries.
Yeah. I want to jump back a little bit, talking about the lifestyle. I also think that it is about the mindset.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts? Are you, have clear thoughts, or do you have like messed up thoughts? Because your thoughts will create your reality. So what do you think about having a strong and clear mindset to create what you want to create?
Oh, absolutely. I'm so in agreement with you, Swanette. And it's really interesting because I like to tell this story because it was just such a moment for me. And one time we were still living in Illinois and it was snowing out, and I had to go out. I had to go out and shovel the driveway because my clients were coming and I didn't want them to slip, and I really had a bad attitude towards it. And then all of a sudden I just sort of shook my head and I was like, wait a minute. I have a driveway to shovel. I can shovel the driveway. Like, I'm physically capable of shoveling this driveway. And I'm so thankful that I have a client coming over so that I have to shovel the driveway. So it was really just that quick awareness. Oh my gosh, I'm having an attitude problem right now. And just being able to shift that perspective for me right then and there into more gratitude, it shifted my whole life from that moment on. When I do have a little bit of an attitude, I can more quickly change. Okay, yeah, I'm not happy about this, and what's good about this? You know, I have to go mow the lawn. I have a lawn to mow, and honestly, I love to mow the lawn, so it's really not that big of a deal. But having that mindset is essential, especially when you're working with clients. Whether it's hands-on, whether you're a coach, if you have a bad day or if you woke up on the wrong side of the bed and now you're going to try to go see clients and help them, that might not turn out so well, because we all have a knowing about how things are going. So, you know, when you walk into a room and you just know, oh boy, Swanette's not having a good day today. And now you can adjust your energy and create more space for Swanette or whomever, your client, to open up to a more positive mindset for their own. You can help switch them over. But you've got to do it first. If you're going in with an attitude and now oh gosh, I need to now talk to my client and I'm not even in a good spot, you could really spin things right out of control. So having that positive mindset, if you don't have that positive mindset, we talked about it earlier, you can take that deep breath and ground into yourself. Find out what it is that you need to switch that mindset so that you can be more appropriate for yourself and for your clients.
And one great tool, and you already shared it, is the reframing. Like, okay, I have to shovel the street or the pavement, and how can I make it fun, by the way? Yeah, for example. And why is it important that I do this? Okay, how can I show gratitude? Yeah, you have a client coming in. For me, yeah, back in Germany, it was like I had a dog. How can I make it fun to shovel the pavement? I play ball with the dog and she is making a mess, and we have just fun throwing snow in each other's face. So it was just, you can imagine, she was a German Shepherd.
I can imagine, yes.
Big dog. And we had a lot of fun doing these kind of things. And it was not, okay, I have to do this and it's boring, but it was a game. Yeah, so reframing the idea of what you have to do, I think it's very powerful.
Yes, I think it is one of the most powerful things. And that's, you know, when I talked about my story beforehand, that was really a reframe. When that foundation shattering moment started, I really had to get myself together and just remember that it was going to be okay. Just reframe it. Now I get to make my own choices.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, or understanding what is the good in it anyway. So for example, if someone is smoking and everybody says, oh, this is a bad habit, and but the intention behind is, this is the only moment that I can have my pause and time for myself during work time, then of course there is something good in it, and then you can create a different habit out of that. But there's still a good intention in it.
Yes, that's a really good point too. I never thought about it that way. But yeah, it is just taking that moment and making choices, whether it's smoking cigarettes, or how can you shift that to something that's a little bit more healthy for you, going that way. So it really is creating those moments where you can stop, take a break, and reset those mindsets. Reframe. Yeah.
Also, I would like to go back in time, in your time, and speak a little bit about beliefs that someone else had about you and beliefs that you had about yourself. Because often what I see is that we get these imprints very early that people tell us, oh, you're not good enough, you will never make it, or whatever it is. And as children, we believe that it is true, and we not behave this way. Whereas when we are empowered and people tell us, oh, you're one of the best, and you always will reach out to the best people, and you can succeed in whatever goals you set. This is a totally different way of behaving then, and believing about yourself. So
Absolutely.
Can you share a little bit about your starting points, like
yes.
about beliefs and mindset?
Yes, exactly. And I think that's a really good transition, because as I mentioned earlier, I felt like I've always been resilient, because it's always been, I don't want to say forced on me, but it's been a huge part of my life. You know, when I was younger, when I was going through school, I didn't learn like everybody else. So I had learning differences and learning disabilities, as they say. You know, I am dyslexic, and I just learned differently. So people thought I was stupid. I shouldn't say not everybody, but school, to the point where they even said something to my parents where they alluded to the fact that I may never graduate from college or from high school. And I caught wind of this, and I was sort of devastated. Like, what do you mean? Why did they say that? And thank goodness for the parents that I had. You know, my dad set me down one time because I was very upset, and he said, you know, you're probably the strongest person that I know, and whatever you decide to do, it doesn't matter what, you're going to get it done. Now, if you decide to listen to these people, then you may not graduate from high school. And that's what everybody's expectation would be. But if you choose to put your mind to it, you can graduate from high school. And who knows, maybe even college. And I graduated from college. And there was another instance when I took some testing, kind of figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And even they said, you know, college isn't for everybody. It was like, wow, I cannot believe that I'm getting this information from people who should be supporting me in whatever way and not telling me that I can't or won't. So that was a big driving force in my entire life is I can choose either direction, and everybody would be okay with that. You know, the people who expected me to fail I would meet their expectations. Those people who expected me to succeed, I'd rather meet those people's expectations and really challenge myself and really go for it. And yes, was it easy? No, not always. But I think regardless of what your learning process is, it doesn't really matter, because if you want it, you'll get it. It doesn't matter. And if anybody tells you different, then those people don't need to be part of your life, quite honestly. So and those people are not part of my life. So that's sort of how I started my resilience journey way back when.
Yeah, so you are a proof that you really can make things happen when you really believe in yourself and have this positive mindset, attitude, and yeah, create a life that it is full of abundance and joy that you have created for yourself. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I have such an amazing life. I mean, my parents are great parents, um, believed in me the whole time. My husband is an amazing husband. So even looking back at the initial divorce that was so earth-shattering was actually a blessing. And so now I have this amazing life. I get to own my own business. I get to work with amazing women. I get to meet amazing women all the time. So I think from that young girl who was challenged to even succeed, I think I'm doing pretty well.
Yeah. So let us know a little bit about who is coming to you and what are typical challenges these people have, and especially the women have.
Absolutely. Well, you know, I'm sure you know those high achieving women who are exhausted and it's almost like they're one sort of drama away from just losing it. They have had it. They are successful. They are hard driving women who really can do it. But for whatever reason, they're just exhausted. They're tired. And with, you know, working with me, they can really start to build the confidence that they used to have, and the resilience, so that they really can be the success that they know they are. Everybody else knows they are, but they're not feeling that just at the moment because of life getting in the way. So I think there was another question in there, Swanette, and I don't remember what it was.
I can't remember neither. So, but I would like to know about what is the transformation. Like these women come into your consultation or in your coaching or energy healing, what you're doing. So they are exhausted. And what is happening then? What is the process? What is the transformation?
Sure. Well, it really starts with the whole drama dragon thing, because, you know, when we are exhausted, when we are we're at the over the top, really starting with the drama dragon. Okay, where am I at? Now I need to tame that dragon, calm the dragon down, and then I can tame the dragon. And then once that process is sort of undertaken, then you can start to make friends with the dragon and really learn about what the dragon really wants and needs so that you can sort of create that resiliency. So you're starting to make that partnership with the dragon. And then once and it's more like you're starting to recognize and start to reframe some things. So you're building that relationship with the dragon. And then once that is accomplished, then you can really move into the confidence piece. You know the dragon, you're communicating well with the dragon, you're trusting the dragon, and you're building that confidence in yourself so that you can take that out into the world. And then once you do that, you can start to create that lifestyle we were talking about. And then eventually you can even, just really light your path forward. You can create that map all to yourself. What does that even look like for you? So I help you start the map. I start you down the journey, and then I help you create that future. What is it that you want? And then we go from there. So it's really a powerful process. And a lot of executive women will hire me before those drama dragons even start to show themselves. Because as women, we know things are going to happen. So why not be a little more proactive than reactive?
Absolutely. Prevent the dragons to appear.
Exactly.
Can you give us an example from one lady that went through your process and really came out with an excellent outcome?
Yeah, I will. I have this example, and it's a smaller example, but it really goes to the idea of sort of taming the dragon and then creating your reality. So it's very condensed, but it sort of shows the whole process. I had a woman come to me, and she was pretty upset because she wasn't taking control of the situation just yet. She, her mother-in-law and sister-in-law wanted to come for Christmas, which in and of itself was just fine because she liked her in-laws. They got along just fine. But she wanted to spend some time with her mother a little bit differently this year than they had normally. So I asked her, I said, so tell me, what would it look like? What would the best case scenario look like for you? So she talked me through what would work for her. And it was really reasonable, have time with my mother-in-law and my mother and have my in-laws come in, a day later so that I could have the time I wanted. And then, just kind of go from there. I said, oh, that sounds like a great plan. Have you told your in-laws about that? And she stopped and looked at me and she goes, no. And then I asked, would your in-laws be upset if you told them what would work for you? No, I don't think they would. So call them up and see if that's going to work. And she did. And she called me later on and said, that was perfect. But it was hard for her because her normal routine would have been just to wait and hear what was being dictated from the in-laws, good, bad, or indifferent. And then she would have just said, okay, instead of standing up for herself. So it was just that short conversation where the whole holiday season became so much more favorable with just that short conversation.
And I think it's always difficult when we stand in our own mud to see the other perspective, and having someone like you, okay, being the mirror and giving inputs, then okay, it's already there, but no, it's kind of bringing it out of what we could imagine.
Right, exactly. And just realizing that, we're all human, and if she had suggested that to her in-laws and it didn't work, it didn't mean you couldn't start the negotiations about what would work for both of you instead of just taking it on because somebody said to take it on. So yeah, it was really changing for her as well.
Yeah. So I know that you are offering different things, and I've been on your summit, for example, which was amazing. So let us know a little bit where people can find you, become part of these summits, for example, if you create another one, or
Oh,
how
yeah,
clients could reach out to you and find you. Let us know a little bit.
absolutely. Absolutely. If you want to find out more about me, going to the dramadragonquiz.com is a really great way to get on my mailing list and then start to get more information about who I am. I also have my website is energy-pathways.com. That's a really good way to get a hold of me. And I will be doing more summits and creating more programs in the future. So those are really great ways to get in touch with me. On my website, you can learn more about my Resilient Woman Leadership program that I'm offering now. So more to come.
Amazing. I will put the links in the show notes so that it is easy for people to reach out and come in contact with you.
Excellent. I really appreciate that, Swanette.
And last but not least, is there anything that you would like to share that I didn't ask you?
It's just such an amazing environment that Swanette has created for all of us, whether, in this container, her and I together, and then creating this for all of the audience. So I first of all want to thank so much Swanette for creating this and for all of you watching. And just remember to create that resilience in your life, however it works for you, because we all are resilient, and we just have to make sure to make sure our mindsets and our reframing and our groundedness in our bodies are where it needs to be. So I'll leave you with that.
Thank you so much for being the guest today on my show. And yeah, thank you also for being a guest on your show. Hope to see you soon again.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Swanette.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening or watching my podcast, Holistic Creators. If you want to know more about how I can help and support you, have a look at my website, spiritualchangemaker.com. You can also join my Facebook group, Spiritual Changemakers Community. Stay tuned for the next episode by subscribing to this channel. And you also can check the previous episodes.